Hi, welcome to Culture of Paint. In this short episode, we're going to be reacting to the recent announcement about the new Games Workshop Golden Demon guidelines, a lot of G's, that were announced late last week. Culture of Paint's aimed at a mature audience. We might use explicit language, definitely will in this episode. We might discuss adult themes. So let's talk about paint. Right, and we're back in. All the drama llamas are here. It's going to be
come for the drama.
Come for the drama, stay for the
more drama.
I don't know, more drama. Yeah.
I'm excited to see what slides you've concocted, Matthew, to go with the various topics.
Before we fire in, if anyone's new here, I'm Henry. Joining me as usual are Rich, Andy, and Matt. And as you can tell, they're ready to go. So this isn't a normal episode. We're not going to be doing our picks or our things that caught our eye, all the rest of it. We just want to have a chat about those things that came out at the end of last week, a mere 54 days before Golden Demon, which I'm sure is fine. So I don't know what slides Matt's prepared, because as usual, I haven't clicked on that button.
Just a giant cup of tea.
Very minimal this episode.
Going in blind. Well, in that case, we had a bunch of points we want to bring up. For those of you that aren't sure what the hell's going on here, if you pop back through our playlist for last season, we did an episode when Golden Demon Adepticon was announced, or Golden Demon USA, which is at Adepticon, was announced. And there were a few changes that have been made, particularly to categories, both in what those categories included and new or missing categories. And a lot of people wanting some clarification on that, and we've just been given it. So
hallelujah.
Yeah, this I don't think it's gonna be massively negative, but I think it's definitely worth discussing some of this. In fact, we will try and always frame things in a positive light, but there's no doubt this has been a challenge. First up, a big addition, Old World.
As just one category though.
Well,
Just
look,
Old World.
you've had 20 plus years to paint them models.
This is true.
So that Slayer Sword straight away. Bosh, done.
So old.
Skeleton horse.
Don't even have an image of a miniature for it.
Which is odd, because there's so many Golden Demon winning pieces from back in the day that were Old World models. Like, off the top of my head, Sopa's Tomb Kings. Like, that'd be a great one to put in there.
That he never entered that, dude, because he included a little jar from another brand and he didn't risk entering it.
Really? I did not know that.
There's a little, is it Canoptic jar, whatever they're called?
Canoptic.
Yeah, that's it. And I believe it's on his blog, and it's, it would have got like at least a gold, maybe the sword. But yeah, that actually never was in there. But I was thinking the same, because I thought the same thing. Why didn't they use that? Anyway.
It is weird. I do wonder the thought process around, you've got, everything split up normally, but Old World, and like, does that mean it's Old World, or it has to be an old model, or can it be like one of the new ones that's been released for the Old World? Like, what does it mean?
Old World, I think.
Yeah, anything I would bang on a square base should be fine. It's not like all that mess of Lord of the Rings where it can't be different systems and stuff, can it?
They put an interesting rule in the Middle Earth section saying that you can't even enter anything that's not IP that they don't currently have a miniature for.
Wait, what?
Plus, you can't create something.
Can't create anything that's not what they already sell.
That's
you
fair enough.
You can't scratch something.
No.
I suppose they very
specifically
do.
You could scratch it, but it can't be a character that's not in their IP range.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is interesting.
Intriguing.
Got to tighten down.
I mean,
on
are there many? Because the point is, it's based off the films, right? They don't. It's not based off the books, and they. And I mean, there's no point saying currently available, right? Because no fucking models are currently available to buy. So they've made models for an awful lot of characters over the years for Middle Earth. Like, there's always been that slightly weird thing, isn't there, with Middle Earth being that separate license and stuff. So yeah.
Quick question for you on Old World, whilst we're still talking about Old World. So what dictates whether it's an old world model or an AOS model if the range is usable for both? Obviously, you would think just bang it on a square base, right?
both, right?
Yeah, square base.
Well, no, you wouldn't even have to do it.
I was gonna say, what if you put it on a
need a
plinth?
square base.
Yeah, or a
You
plinth.
don't need a square base.
No
But
square
do you think-
base.
some will be eligible for both, which is like other categories, right?
Yeah.
Like you could enter Bellacore into 2 categories.
3 categories.
3 now, yeah.
Yeah, old world as well. If you get the metal
Yeah.
one.
Do you think people will do anything like tactically, like, okay, it's the old world, we don't know what it's going to be or if it's going to be any good or not, let's test it out, see how it goes, or what do you think?
It's a tough. I mean, all right. Well, let's lump this in with the next point then, to do with the fact that single figure has been included in alongside units and or monsters and or vehicles and or whatever, depending on the category. So, for instance, Horus Heresy is one category. So Primarchs, vehicles, singles, squads. Old World's the same. There's one more, isn't there? Can't think of it off the top of my head. Necromunda, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Blood Bowl.
So, yeah, right. So, single minis are a little bit more, I think. Now, if you think about it, traditionally, some of the best miniatures and often Slayer Sword winners were fantasy single, right? That's what gets a lot of people going. It will be very interesting because now effectively you can do 2 fantasy singles. You can do AOS single and you can do Old World single.
And Blood Bowl.
And technically,
kind of
Underworlds.
Blood Bowl. Well, Underworlds has to be at least like what's the
Underworld's
smallest
model,
warband there? Like 3 or so, isn't it? Something like that.
No,
Yeah.
you can single figure it.
Really?
Single figure.
but it's basically it's very confusing because you could technically do, like you said, AOS and Old World, and it could be the exact same model, just 2 different versions of it.
Well, it could.
No, because
Yeah.
you can't enter an
But-
Underworld's model into Old World. It's Underworld's.
No, but like, you could do it AOS. So AOS single fig that's a current model and sits in the Old World. You could enter both
That
those
you
categories
could,
with the
yeah.
same model. Yeah.
Yeah, that.
Someone just put a good point in the chat. So a Croxagore would be an Old World model, but if it's a brand new sculpt, is that AOS or is it Old World?
I think you just gotta use a bit of logic, right? They haven't defined it very clearly, but it's going to be kind of obvious. I think that if you just try and catch them out, then just don't bother. Just do something clear that's definitely Old World, like that new orc shaman with the troll head. That's an Old World model. It's amazing. That's what the category's for. So I think
there's also coming at this a touch negatively, right? In the sense of, I doubt most people are trying to game it like that.
Oh yeah.
And again, if you're unsure, they do have contact details. You can ask.
Just allow 15 business days for a reply.
I was just curious. I wasn't trying to come at it from like a negative way, but I'm just I wonder if this is the conversation that they sat around the GW and had. Do you reckon they thought about it to this level, or they just went, "This goes here"?
It's difficult. You could think about it to this level because of the whole drama around Old World and the fact that essentially it's not the same minis for AOS, and conveniently all the AOS faction, most of the AOS faction minis and stuff that was from the Old World is not around in the Old World this time round, and that sort of thing. There's all sorts of lovely little things to get dramatic about with all of that, but it's, I don't know. I think for me, the fact it's just a fucking graphic, like it's the front of the book illustration, like it.
But they clearly only want to use
just make some fucking
current
effort.
winners,
like
right?
But
I mean, but there are plenty in the past, though. That's the thing. I mean, whether
What was the last thing that won?
Lost the SD
Yeah, but then they'd have to click, or they'd have to click on something more than the previous winners. It'd be too much effort. So
it's
odd.
It's funny, like what I found really funny when I saw the Old World, and I was like, so you got rid of Jewel and Diorama to make room for new categories, and they just shoved in another category anyway.
Is it the only brand new category? Because maybe that
Underworld's is new. Blood Bowl's new.
I thought maybe it was
new.
It was a way of
Heresy.
making it stand out that it's brand new. But I'm just clutching at straws here.
4 new categories, right?
Yeah.
There's four new ones.
Someone's just asked about what's the deal with all the guidelines and whatnot. Now, to be fair, it's a pretty big guidelines document that they brought out, right, with this drop. There is a lot of stuff in it, which is great, and it can never be too clear. And coming from people who have put on and are putting on painting competitions, it's always tough because in your head you think, oh, that's obvious, but maybe it isn't to everybody when you're writing guidelines and doing things. And I appreciate that Games Workshop have quite a few plates spinning with all the different categories that are a bit kind of similar and all that. So I can understand that, but again, when was the announcement for Adepticon for USAGD?
October.
Now, I'm not saying
September.
I don't know what's happened. Maybe the people that were organising it back in October are no longer the people that are organising it. I know GW is quite fluid with its department sort of roles and things like that. But it's a shame these guidelines weren't there in October. And I don't know. Is this what gamers feel like when there isn't like an FAQ or something? Is this what they feel? Is this the rage and frustration?
I don't feel that. I think some people will disagree with me, but I don't feel we've desperately needed the guidelines as much as people have needed. I think that the single figures instead of units is a big one, but I don't know. You shouldn't kind of play the tactics right and plan on doing minimums and things like that. You just got to do a cool entry and it'll fit somewhere. So I do think it should have been done earlier, but I guess I've just not been worried about the guidelines this whole time personally. I've just gone, well, I'll do that category because I know that's not going to be safe. My entry's safe. I'll pick that one, I
think with the introduction of so many new categories without knowing and just the title,
it should be,
it even if they couldn't have, I think a better way to do it would have been, this is what we intend to do. It may change, and that would have been okay. You would at least had some indication, single unit.
I don't know, man. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one. Like, imagine putting it out to our community. We're thinking of doing this, but we don't know. We get eaten alive.
Yeah, but
I mean,
it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Absolutely, and
that's exactly it.
But this is it. And even Andy's saying, "Oh, I don't really mind. It doesn't really bother me." Kind of thing. I mean, but we're a podcast that put out a reaction type video to it when the news dropped and have engaged in the discourse around it all, right? Partly because it's fun. And again, as you've said, and I think we said earlier, it's very unlikely people are gaming the system to that level, and are able to be that reactionary. But it's just frustrating. A common.
I think it's the time investment you have to put into it to get to a GD. Like, it was at Adepticon. We all knew Adepticon was going to happen. Like, it was just almost a given. But then, we're like 50 days out and we're still not really sure.
But to go back to Andy's point, that shouldn't actually really matter. Like, if you basically whatever you pick, there's going to be a home for it. There's not anything that you couldn't do, is there?
Well, that's the thing. So, like, it could have screwed up a few things. Say you did an Age of Sigmar Warhammer Underworld crossover, but it was more of an Underworld unit, but you wanted it in Sigmar. It would
potentially, but
it'll fit in one.
It'll fit in one. Yeah. So to go back to Andy's point, like if you disregarded this and went, well, I know there's going to be a GD. I'm painting a Games Workshop model, so it's going to fit somewhere. So I'm going to paint this as well as I can to the best of my ability, and wherever I put it is wherever I put it. Surely that's got to be an element of it.
But it's kind of like, no matter what happens, you were going to have somewhere for your entry to go, but it would have been nice to have been sure.
Well, I don't disagree with that.
Especially if you're in a lot of hours in.
Yeah, but
I think that John's brought up a good point. Is actually the bigger problem with doing it so last minute is it's going to weaken the categories because people don't have time to plan. And like I said, I left the new categories alone. I'm like, I'm not doing those. I'm going to do the ones that I know are going to be fine. And that means maybe the new ones, like the old world, aren't going to be that strong. And that's a bigger problem, really. But I think that it's not ideal. But at least they've done it, and I'm most grateful for they seem to be caring about Golden Demon, because I was just worried. People are worried about not getting the categories clarified, and I was like, well, I just want them to do Golden Demon. I'm scared it's just going to go as they get bigger and more corporate, so I'm just happy that at least they're doing some stuff for it.
It's one of the biggest packs they've ever put out. I mean, there's a lot of information in there, and obviously that's to clarify on a lot of
but it can also it can also set a precedent too, right? So you've got GD, which has been ostensibly been an annual painting competition since the 80s, right? Yes, there's been years where it's been missed and this and the other, but largely it's been a good 20 plus years of history, 30 plus years of history, goodness, for a competition. So I think it's not unreasonable for people to expect there to be some kind of conformities or consistency going on. Things change, things evolve. That's good. Bringing in fresh ideas, trying out new categories, I think is brilliant. Trying new places, which we'll talk about later, I think it's fantastic. I feel a lot like, since I got back in the hobby and started attending GD, so 2015-ish, 16-ish, something like that, it's felt like it's been a different person trying to organize it or doing something with it every single time. And it almost feels like just give it to a team and give them a few years, right? Give them a chance to do at least 2 full cycles and see what can get created and then adjust and go from there. Because I'm assuming it's considered a flagship product. As an
I don't think it is.
IP. Well, but this is possibly another conversation, maybe not for tonight. But the reason I wanted to say it was it feels like this pack, like there's clearly a lot of effort has gone into this pack, which is a very positive thing, right? Which suggests
that's
now
what I'm happy
is someone going to put that much effort in if they've just been drafted in last minute to do something and then they're going to be fucked off back to whatever department they've been pulled in from. So maybe. Not trying to be everything's going to be okay, but it could be the start of something positive.
We do have to acknowledge, like, the people that were behind getting this pack out have done an incredible job, like of getting it out, getting it 99% of everything clarified pretty on the spot. Like, there's not too much you can read into it or read it the way you want to read it, which is good. So like that's a really positive thing that's come out of this, which is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it would have been fantastic if they announced the new categories and the rules at the same time, but they haven't, and perhaps it will be okay for a little while now. Do you know what I mean? Like maybe it's had new ownership, it's being thrown around who's in charge of it, but I hope it's kind of locked in now.
Yeah,
and then this should be for Dusseldorf, which will not Dusseldorf, the German one, which we'll talk about, and then Adepticon the year after. I'm just happy there is a year after. So
at the moment,
it's So I definitely feel like most people I've spoken to, I'm the least annoyed, which is surprising because I'm normally quite annoyed at most things.
The one thing they need to do with these new categories, though, is they need to leave the exact same thing in place for at least 3 cycles. It can't be. You can change things here and there.
I don't agree, actually.
But
well, go on.
If you don't leave it to evolve as it is currently, then you'll never know if it was going to work or not. You can't have one cycle of it and then try to change it again next year. It just doesn't really work like that.
It's almost a case of they've made their bed, they now need to lie in it for a little while and see how it goes.
And also, it's not disaster either, right? It's still, as we keep saying, it's all GW minis, which you're going to paint anyway, and there'll be a place for them. It's just, how the fuck are we in this position 35 years into a competition?
And people don't like change. People really don't like change.
I love it, mate. But yeah, I'm all over change. But yeah, but I appreciate what you're saying. People do like a little bit of, I can't think what the word is, but it's nice to have a bit of solidity or something.
It's consistency
to cling to. Let's close out. There's a couple more points I wanted to bring up that we wanted to talk about regarding categories themselves, and then we can stick a pin in it and actually move on to the other elements around it, if that's right with you guys. So there's been a lot of chat about it already in the comments, and it's the joint submission, for want of a better term. Discuss.
Drama.
This is the big one.
A lot of people have asked
loving
me, and I don't know. I'm only interpreting like everyone else, but I personally believe their intention is they would like to stop people commissioning sculpts, and that they want people to do everything themselves. And you can still scratch build something, heavily convert something like Albert Slayer winner, but it's got to be you. And I personally am for this. And sorry for anyone who doesn't agree, but I do like this. And I'll give you an example of why. Is a few people entered these custom sculpts into Open, and I actually asked the exact same sculptor if they'd been in some of these entries when they weren't available. So I couldn't compete with them because I couldn't get, and of course I can go to another sculptor, whatever, but it's just an example of why it's difficult, because you either have to have a lot of money to get it done, and it is a lot of money to have a sculpt done, or you have to have, some friends. And yeah, I've ummed and ahed about it, because it's a shame to get rid of those really cool big models and all that creativity, but I do think it's best. And it's nice to just you're either super skilled that you can sculpt and paint like Maxime Pinot with his Nurgle guy from scratch. That's epic to see. Or you can just convert something really heavily. I think that's the best way to be personally. Don't know if you guys agree.
I agree. I think. Okay, how do I say this without being offensive? I guess the groups of people that move around in kind of painting competitions, I think, kind of get to know each other and become friends. And the people that tend to be good at it will then tend to gravitate towards each other, communicate about their competitions and stuff. So, like Andy said, if you've got someone that's an exceptionally good sculptor and an exceptionally good painter, if they come together and make a team, I'm not saying it's an unfair edge, because that skill is something that they've earned over years to kind of get that skill. But that isn't available for everybody. Whereas I think if you're on your own, you've got to do it yourself. For me, it strikes me as a much fairer way of doing it. You don't, it's not who you know or basically what you can pay somebody, because that's the other part of it, to create a custom sculpt for you. Like, I might have a great idea for a sculpt, but I might be able to afford a couple of grand to pay somebody to create that miniature that doesn't exist for me. But if you do, it's potentially a more interesting, dynamic entry that might be a bit more interesting, that kind of thing.
Does this apply to everything or just Open?
Every category, but specifically Open was not becoming a problem, but it was. You could see it more obviously in Open because you're getting these massive scale things. But Maxime's was a scratch.
Right. It is sort of devil's advocate, but also
it would be okay.
I probably do fall on the side of my interpretation of the phrase Open in this particular instance. It was kind of anything goes.
Well, it's Open category is not even a Golden Demon competition. It's,
right? Yeah, it's an additional.
It's an addition.
Yeah. So,
I think the biggest problem it comes into is that it's. I'm pretty sure this decision has come from more of a marketing aspect than anywhere else, because they don't sell these miniatures, and as much as we like, GD is a advertisement for Games Workshop.
Yeah.
If stuff is winning that they don't sell or is even made by them, is a problem, and that that's just the nature of a competition run by a company that is theirs.
That's 100% true.
So I'll miss it, but I'm not surprised.
Go to Monty. That's my answer. Go to another show.
And I think it works. Sorry, Rich.
Go
in Scratch, these massive commissions, if GD was open format, 100% have them. But because it's a 1, 2, 3, no.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And I think that if you like doing these big projects, then go to SMC and Monty. And there are other competitions other than Golden Demon. Golden Demon is its own thing, and it's got its weird things. And I kind of like it like that. and I just, I'm getting something commissioned for Monty, and then I'm just buying GW models for Golden Demon. I kind of like that, but I do also agree in the open category that would be a nice place to have them. So I'm not really bothered, to be honest, but I think it's good they made a decision on it.
All right, cool. So, and the other one that is being talked about, you guys are happy with that for that topic?
Yeah.
The other one that's again being spoken about quite a lot in the chat is Youngbloods being. So Youngbloods is a category that's traditionally for under 16s, under 18s, under 16s.
They kind of did 16, 14.
Right.
They kind of went around.
Sort of juniors, as it were.
Yeah.
But it now has a lower age limit of 12 plus.
Don't agree.
So this for me strikes massively as a this is just a corporate decision. All the boxes say 12 plus to buy or to suitable for children over the age.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make business sense that you would advertise that you have to be this age to do it, but then you have the competition open to people younger than that. For me, this is just simply it's a
legal aligning.
Yeah.
Beyond anything else, but I don't agree with it. Like if a kid of 11 or 10 or 9 or whatever wants to paint a miniature and put it into Golden Demon, they should be able to paint a miniature and put it into Golden Demon. Let's just end off.
Because the ruling for sorry, I'll shut up a sec. The health and safety thing over 12 and 15-year-olds, you're saying this isn't safe for somebody under the age of 12 and 15. It isn't safe for someone under that age, but then you're promoting a event which is encouraging people under that age to interact with something that's been deemed not safe for them to interact with. If that makes sense.
But wasn't there a Adepticon or somewhere it was 16 plus the event? Didn't that happen? I swear that was one of them. It was 16 plus. I think it was like the first year.
I think Adepticon has, as far as I'm aware, hasn't. I think if you have to be 16 plus to go on your own, but if you're a parent, it's fine.
I've just checked. Adepticon has encouraged spectators of all ages, but I swear there was a thing where it was like 16 over, and everyone said there's no entries in Youngbloods. But no, it's fine. I think that, to be honest, I think that they'll let anyone enter. I think that they have to have that for legal things. Like, you must be 12, and if someone 10 turns up, they'll go, yeah, no worries.
You think?
Yeah, they're not going to say
I'm
show
sure
me your
that'll
papers.
happen.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a good point.
I think that'll happen. Because they just need that for on their web. Like, if their boxes say
it's a cover your ass.
12 and up, they've got to have put that 12 and up on the box. Like, that's got to be some decision made by someone else. And that means maybe they have to do that on the rules. But yeah, it does suck. I don't know how I feel about it.
I think Matt said it at the very beginning. I think possibly none of us have a legal background at all. But I think it's possibly, I think Matt was saying, where it's more of just an aligning thing, and perhaps we'll see this one fed back and changed. You never know. But yes, do feed it back.
It would just be such a shame, like, if they actually just I couldn't.
Definitely lie. You just lie.
Yeah,
100%.
I'm 12. I don't have an ID because I'm 12.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what they do with it. Maybe it's one of those things they've just the legal teams went, oh yeah, just chuck this in, and they haven't thought anything of it, and we've seen it. We're all gone, whoa, no more Youngbloods under this age, and they've just gone, oh fuck, I didn't think about it. Like, obviously, you just oh yeah, you look the right age, enter.
What is interesting? We don't generally go near drama and clickbait and all that type of thing, but we have sort of gone in on GD this year because we've covered it now for 3 years, something like that. And it's something we feel passionate about. But what I think is interesting here, none of us have a horse in this race. Any children that we may or may not have may or may not be too young anyway to be picking up a paintbrush. But there's several people in the chat at the moment that this directly affects, that they're family members. And so it is, I think what you're saying there, Rich, it may have been an off the cuff type alignment decision that perhaps was not considered the impact it may have. And certainly, I got into Warhammer the first time I was 9 or 10, I think. and I was going to games days from the very beginning and stuff. So it's definitely, there's definitely kids younger than 12 involved in the hobby. Put it that way. So
I mean,
so yeah.
most of the intro games stores run are for 12 and under.
I don't know. I like them games, mate. It's just usually just like roll a 4 up or something, and everything will be fine.
Just roll anything. Oh, it hits.
Yeah.
Kaboom.
That's how I like playing the Warhams. So I think maybe there's entries. Right, I think that's everything we wanted to talk about with regards to the categories themselves. I haven't noticed anything else in the chat that we haven't brought up. I think the joint entry thing seems to have been the one that's caused the most sort of spice. Someone did mention just briefly earlier though. They said, "Oh, what happens if I, pardon me, what happens if I make a unit for AOS and I use some Underworlds models in it?"
Says it in the FAQ.
Don't do it.
Oh, does it literally say don't do it?
No, you can do it.
I'm just saying
Great.
why risk. You can mix it in, can you?
Cool.
Yeah.
Because that's cool. Because sometimes they do give you, or very often they give you a nice alternative sculpt for something that's already exists, right?
The exact word.
And I know those
Yes,
are the
please,
bits
Matt.
that you find most boring about the Underworlds warbands, Andy, is that when it's just another version of generic spear dude.
It says
and stuff
We've
like
got
that.
that model.
Yeah, right.
Give me an octopus.
But it's but for instance, it would be cool, right? You could stick your octopus in with your unit of I don't know, whatever your fucking elf, what they call Lumineth archers. Them lads.
Lumineth archers. I don't have the archers. They're too good.
Sorry, Matt. You said
it's like one of the section here. It says, "Can my entry cross over between Games Workshop universes such as Age of Sigmar and Warhammer 40,000?" And it says, "No entry should be represent a single universe or setting. This does not mean that parts cannot be used in conversions such as Seraphon parts for Exodites, etc." So, like, you can still shove things into other things. It just has to fit within the setting of the category that you're putting it into.
Just don't make it too Underworld.
Yeah, and then it says like Underworld Wars bands. All warbands or single miniatures from Warhammer Underworlds will be placed into the dedicated Warhammer Underworlds category.
Well, there
I'm
we
entering that. Just saying.
We'll see. Are you anticipating any particular impact on any categories, given or traditional categories, given what's happened?
AOS unit.
So, because recently that has kind of been Underworld's warband, right? They featured quite heavily, haven't they, for a few years?
You're just separating. It's not a. It's a good category, but it's not as strong as not as strong as AOS single figure, is it? Like unit categories are slightly softer than those singles, and you've broken it down even more. And we said that on the last reaction video that when they announced the new categories, there was 3 categories, and they were actually just a first and second third from what was the AOS category, because they used the 3rd place Blood Bowl, and the Blood Bowl won, the Underworlds won that. So I don't know. I think it'll still be fine, but there's only so many people that paint big units. And maybe that's one of the reasons maybe it's good that they've allowed single figures into things like Necromunda, because I think some people thought, oh, Necromunda, that won't be a good category. But maybe it's nice to have that flexibility. I wasn't sure when they said, oh, just single figures. I was kind of hoping that you had to do a whole Necromunda warband maybe, but actually I think more flexibility means we'll get better pieces in the end. And I think you should just do what's the cool project, not what fits or is most tactical.
Do you what do you think with obviously the time you can put into a single miniature compared to a time you can put into a unit? What do you think about, will units perhaps suffer in the category? The same
in the mixed categories, are you expecting them still to largely be singles?
I think single minis are probably going to be very successul compared to units. But
especially in the ones that are bigger, like Heresy, where it's units, vehicles. Like if you've got vehicles,
well, no one's painting a tank, right?
Yeah.
No one's painting for anything.
Oh, if you paint anything Heresy
unit of Predators.
Oh yeah, but if you think that though, if you get a vehicle like going against a single fig, like that's going to be a pretty rough.
It's a weird category.
I think I always say it's whoever does it. So if Albert did a unit, he's still winning. All right. If everyone else has done a single figure and he's done a unit, he's still winning. It's so obviously it's more time to get that same quality. But people might come up with a really cool idea. And I also think they'll award ambition. So if you've got a single figure Underworlds thing and it's okay, it's a model on a base, and then there's like a whole unit with a nice thing and base, I still think it can beat the single figures. It's not an auto. It's not for sure that it's going to be 3 single figures because they allow it. And I think they will. If something's really thematic and super cool, like Blood Bowl, there could be a single figure. But what if someone's done it like on the pitch, beautifully displayed, all their names on it?
But also you've got star play. You've got star players, you've got referees, things like that. I actually felt like Necromunda and Blood Bowl. I was happy to see them get their own category. This kind of goes back to what we talked about in the previous video, because I think those two are the most adjacent to the main universes, even though they're ostensibly the old world and 40k. Vehicle and Monster, Heresy all being one, I think are the two standout ones to me, where I'm intrigued to see what happens.
Primates versus tanks.
Right?
Yeah, difficult. It's going to be certainly a challenge for the judges. So good luck to
Dr.
all of them.
Dr. Flink just put that in the group in the chat, saying judging is going to be a nightmare for the heavy metal team.
I don't know, it's a nightmare.
They won't be judging.
It'll just be challenging, I think.
Challenging
to do it and to possibly to justify things as well. You know, it's hard. It's not easy. You can't just all like that. Give it a goal.
I don't know. I just find it weird, and I think of all the changes, that's the one I'm least fond of.
But the single figure thing,
the single unit mix.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Just because I have such a special love for the vehicle category. You know, vehicles aren't the most loved thing in the world, I think, when it comes to competition painting, and seeing them as their own category was always just really cool for me, because it's like their own little spot.
I could be 100% wrong as well. Like we haven't done it before, so I don't know how it's going to go. Like, you know, I could be talking absolute nonsense, and it's just going to be amazing.
I just feel like it's up to the. I think it's up to the people entering to do cool pieces and not think tactically. Like if I wanted to enter Blood Bowl, I wouldn't do a single figure. I'd do something like a team with just do cool entries. Like don't do
something
the
that
bare
fits
minimum.
The category. Like
it's like when
gang, Blood Bowl
when
team.
40k squad changed, you could do 3 minis, and people started doing 3 Marines. It's like, don't do 3 Marines. They come in 5s. So it's just. I know, but I'm just saying that's what you should do. It's just don't do the bare minimum.
A lot of this really does go back to that thought process of just pick something you really want to paint and paint it to the best of your ability and see what happens.
There's also a case of, you know, throughout all of GD, paint something that you want to do, A, paint something that's cool, B, but also paint something that's sympathetic to the IP. Don't screw around with the setting in that way, because it's, you know, that's the whole point of GD in a way.
I mean, or paint wherever you want and do whatever you want, but understand there's consequences to those decisions. It's possibly the other way of looking at, you know, there's plenty of people we know that plan entries, you know, and they enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of cool. You know, like having tactics, and I think it's fun. I think all of that, you know.
I think that is one thing I think from this is, because we know there are a group of people that almost like math hammer this, don't they? They look at the trends and go, right, I know this entry's this category is normally weaker, so I'm going to enter it because I think there's a more high likelihood that I'm going to. Like, I've had conversations with people who have said I'm entering these categories because I think I'll win something. Right. This kind of gets rid of that, which I actually quite like, because, you know, and vehicle tended to be one of those that people are like, oh, I'm going to vehicle, because it is, to be fair, it is usually, you know, a bit easier to win in them potentially sometimes. Whereas I think this just wipes that out, which I quite like. So I think it makes it. I think all the changes make it a lot harder to try and math hammer it and go, well, I'm going to enter this because I think I'm more likely to win in this category because I just want to win for the sake of winning. And let's be honest, there are people out there like that.
But
yeah,
I
good fun.
I will miss nicely weathered tanks.
Oh man, they're just the best.
Well, let's all paint them. That's what we got to do.
I don't
just
want to
enter
paint
heresy with a tank.
I want to see someone paint something.
I'm
really
doing it.
It was always my favorite bit.
I'll do my Minotaur. All right, I'll do my Minotaur.
It was always my favorite part, like my favorite cabinet to go and look at. Just all vehicles. It was fucking great.
Yeah. I am surprised. Yeah, I am surprised at that. There's a lot of vehicles in Games Workshop's ranges. It did feel like they
merit it. They warrant it.
Yeah, it did feel like they merit. It went a bit Oprah with the categories, except for vehicles.
Yeah,
and it was like, oh, okay, never mind. Maybe that's just bias. So that's pinning it categories. They're done. They're what they are. There are a lot of guidelines out there. It will be a fucking miracle if you get any more before the competition. So
hey, we could go back to the early 2000s of the American GDs where they had 18, 19 categories. Let's do that.
Good. Let's just go on. Like it's there. It's in 54 days. Good luck to everybody who is entering Adepticon. Andy, you're going to be there. Matt, you're going to be there in Adepticon this year?
Yep.
So make sure you say hi to those guys. We'll be covering it in some capacity as well before and afterwards, I'm sure. But yeah, that's GD US out the way. So the two big ones left to have a quick natter about are the fact that the other Games Day, the Golden Demon that's occurring this year, no Games Day, hasn't been Games Day for years, sorry. The other Golden Demon that's occurring this year for the European leg is in Germany at Spiel, which is an enormous industry board games show. That's what I thought.
A lot of card games.
Pokemon stand.
Right.
Yeah,
it's just a game. It's gaming. It's boards. Loads of card games.
I remember when I used to go on like Board Game Geek a lot and stuff. Like Spiel was always mentioned, like stuff had won like Best of and things. So, and I know Games Workshop have had a presence there for a few years. I guess because they've sort of ventured into things like Underworlds, haven't they? And sort of those random box games that you can only get in certain bookshops in one country and things like that. So they've decided to take the European leg, which I guess was what was at Fest last year in Manchester was the European leg, and now the European leg is in
mainland
Germany,
European leg.
Continental Europe.
Continental Europe.
It's
we had a whole thing. We got rid of Europe.
How are you guys feeling about that then? Ever been to Spiel? Any of you?
Nope.
Keen to go.
Too expensive.
Is it?
It is a lot. And
tell me more.
Well,
it's $1,000 for a hotel.
Yeah. Unless like public transport in Germany is a lot better, but it does mean getting like a 20-minute train ride every morning to and from, which I'm not. I just want to walk to the event. It's also a bit of a pig for, well, like it's kind of the other way around. Europeans are always complaining about having to come over to UK for GD, and now all the UK people are having to complain about going over to Europe for GD.
Yeah, but at least the Nottingham Premier Inn's about £10.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
The flights are, well, pretty much they only, unless you're in like Birmingham or something, they only fly from Heathrow, which is a pain.
Heathrow's okay though.
Not for me.
Good.
It's a 3.5 hour drive for me.
Yeah, Heathrow's fine. I think that it
because it's all right for you to get.
Yeah,
that tracks.
It's interesting, right? Do we think that this is indicative of the years to come now? Do we think the European leg is going to move around? We're going to get France next time, and Spain and Italy. And
I think that'd be a really cool way of doing it. That every year it went to a different European country for a while. Because I can't remember what's the show in Poland. Hussar, is it? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah.
So like if it went there one year would be really cool. I think it's a definitive shift for them in attaching it to such a fucking huge show. That for me, that does. I think it's really exciting because I love all the other stuff that's there. So I'd love to go and see it and do that. I think it'd be really cool to see Golden Demon at a massive event again because there hasn't really been that for a while. So that I think is really exciting. The possibility of seeing all that is really cool. But yeah, costs of going to a show like that is always way more because like you said, hotels will be booked up now for then.
Yeah, they are going quick as well.
Yeah. So that I think it strikes me a bit more like the corporate thing as well. They want to go back, get back out into the mainstream and the bigger events where there's more people to attract more people. Because, like you said earlier, Matt, it is a marketing tool for Games Workshop. How many nerds are going to be at Spiel? Hundreds of thousands of them. You might. I haven't done Warhammer since I was a kid. Maybe I'll have a little look. These are well cool. It feels like they're using it as a way to open up Golden Demon to the wider nerd community as opposed to the same 200 of us that go to every fucking event.
The way it seems to be going with them is whether Warhammer Fest is alive or dead, ? Don't know anymore.
Dead.
My tinfoil hat is GD will take place at events where Games Workshop have a presence now.
It's done already for them, I think.
It's done already.
So you're thinking UK Games Expo?
That was my thing. So I thought for this year we would see Adepticon, UK Games Expo, and one in Europe, which is obviously now Spiel. Don't know what happened to UK Games Expo. Probably couldn't get the floor space. But 2025, I reckon there'll be a UK Games Expo for a UK GD. Because they're just going to piggyback onto established events because it's
that would
very
be
convenient.
Cool though, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
like I'm okay with that. I think that seems to be what they're doing, and that's fine. It kind of makes it feel grander. Me and Rich both agree that we really didn't want to do it at Warhammer World because it feels too like a local comp, and I think that even if it's the same volume of people actually in the show, I think feeling like you're part of something bigger just makes it worth the effort a little bit more. So I'd be happy with that. I'm worried about some things with Spiel, but I'm also excited to see what it offers. And I need to start saving.
I hope it doesn't get lost in the void of a billion vendors.
Cabinets get smashed, you mean?
Yeah, it's basically like it's the E3 of board games. Like there's going to be a lot of people there, and it's going to be big, which is exciting.
Yeah,
I'm trying to get my holiday plan to actually at work and all stuff to actually go. Might have to do a Saturday to a Monday.
might have to not go Monty this year and just do that one instead.
No, scratch Spiel, go Monty.
SMC week after. Oh, so busy.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's kind of an interesting time to have it from a miniature painting season calendar thing, having it directly before SMC.
I'm okay with that.
It'll be very interesting to see if it stays at Spiel. I got to admit, Spiel I'd heard of. I am not familiar with France's biggest gaming convention, or say Spain's or Italy's. I'm just thinking about countries that have historically had demons and have painters who've done very well at demons. Those are sort of the ones that jump to mind, but I can't think of any big ones of those. I might be wrong. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and I'm sad that it appears there's no UK one in any capacity. Even had it been at Warhammer World this year, simply for there to be one, it feels a little odd. It will be a British company that is quite proudly British and the Brits, the business Brits, are quite proud of it as a company.
Yeah.
Not to have, to have it is an odd one.
This will be the first year since it started where there hasn't been a UK Golden Demon.
What, 2020?
I was going to say COVID.
Not ignoring the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
And then what about 2016?
2015 didn't have a classic; it had a mini.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had the tanks.
So, okay, cool.
Well,
cool,
like
cool.
like a mini or a classic.
Just something.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. I'd rather it be just at Spiel than at Warhammer World personally. That's my feeling.
But why not both? That's what I'm saying. Why do you have to simply given the fact that it is a UK
both would be all right, yeah.
company.
Both would be okay. Both would be okay.
You know,
yeah.
You have to, again, reading between the lines, you kind of feel if this decision had been made earlier, it almost certainly would have been at Games Expo, UK Games Expo this year, and Spiel.
Maybe there's things we don't know around the business decisions
there's
around
a million
or
things.
like bookings. And stuff. Well, yeah, I know, but
yeah. But yes, around that, absolutely. But it will be as usual. Like there's no getting comfortable. You need that horrible knot in your stomach of uncertainty when it comes to anything that's going on with Golden Demon and whatnot. Maybe there'll be a Christmas demon. Yeah, that would be fun.
We'll enter the Christmas squig in a specific Christmas squig category.
Or go to some random event and enter, what's it called? Legends of...
I like that. It's
Legends
open
of
format.
Paint.
It's great. Just everyone gets a medal.
Everyone gets a medal. So yeah, that's that one. I think that's it for the bits I had written down anyway.
One thing that I've just remembered, there is a new award level.
Oh yes,
called Noble Entry, which is
notable entries,
or notable entries, which is below the finalist pin. So it's kind of got a bit confusing now. So it's notable entry, finalist pin, commended entry, 1, 2, 3, sort.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So it's podium. You've just missed the podium. You made the cut. You didn't make the cut, but that's pretty cool. You'll probably make it next year.
Oh, okay.
Like another award to aim for, which is great.
Yeah.
The most important thing is that the finalist pin will be more worth winning, and I think that they were giving away the finalist pins a little bit too much, and they weren't not worthless, but people weren't excited by it because most things got it. And I think now that's what notable entry will become, and then finalist will actually be like fantastic, and then it gives a little bit of a better ranking of where you're at, because you could get notable, next time you get finalist, then you get commended, and you feel like you're getting closer.
Because
I think it's great.
Because they can't give feedback anymore. It's actually a way of understanding whereabouts you kind of sat.
It's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Finalist pin was getting a bit too much of a... I don't know how to say it without it sounding horrible.
Participation prize.
Yeah, it was like a... It was like everyone got one. It was just out like candy.
You could get a finalist pin, but still be a fucking mile away from winning the demon.
I think it's the problem.
So it's like
had
top
the
20
finalist on it. That was
what those the words.
The word finalist. That is kind of what made it. It kind of made it less valuable, if you want to say that, over the years.
I think that's a great addition, right? That's
a brilliant
another
addition.
big positive.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are certainly pros coming out of all this. And we have been deliberately a bit what's the word?
I think we've been questioning.
Aggressive,
I don't think we've been negative.
Mm.
We're just questioning, I think. I don't think we haven't been like,
there is, but also I don't want us to tread over that line of that sort of entitlement or that feeling that we know better and tell people what to do and how to do it, because that isn't the intention. I don't think it is anyway.
We're talking about the positives and negatives, right? And that's fair. We're looking at both sides of it, I think. And I think, like, discussing what happened to custom sculpts getting banned, I feel we've discussed
that's
the pluses
very good.
And the minuses,
that's a big one.
And that's all you should do, really.
And the overall message is still paint something you really like to the best of your ability and fucking enter it.
No, get your spreadsheets. Matt's done the work for you. Look at all the categories that have gone in the past. Locate the one that you have the best chance at winning at.
Then win it.
Yeah, then
even if you hate
20, 30 people, which miniature you think would be best to do it with.
Yeah. Fuck taking part.
And
remember,
and then blame everybody else but yourself when you fuck it up.
The one thing you don't
also,
do...
sorry, my mic's been shit all episode, everybody. Matt's just informed me I've had the wrong one turned on. So
he's been on the gaming headset.
Apologies if it's been a bit tinny or whatever. But
said that at the start.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, okie dokie. Right, so let's close this one out, unless you guys got anything else particular to talk about. MPO, Miniature Painting Open, our show that we're putting on May 18, 19th. Tickets are on sale Sunday. There's, I think, 6 left, something like that. There's very, very few left. So if you want them, get them. It's a hard capacity. It's not up to us. It's the, safety regulations of the building or whatever. We've pushed it up as far as we can go with it. But yeah, wonderful. Tickets. Thank you ever so much for everybody who's picked up a ticket for that. We're very, 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 very excited about it. Just to answer a couple of questions now, we'll put them on a slide anyway, but a few people have asked, do you have to bring a model and enter it? No, but we're kind of assuming everyone's coming's going to bring something to display. You've got standard and masters, but we've also got a beginners category. So if you just sort of not sort of like that, and also you do need a ticket to get in. So if you want to bring your partner or your mates or your kids or whatever, by all means do, but they're going to need a ticket to get in. So no walk-ins on the day. But yeah, so expect more announcements about that over the next week or two, and then not too distant future announcements for next year's as well, which will be hopefully even better.
Martin's asking us to do an MPO in Germany.
No, we'll do it in Sweden.
Give it time.
Stockholm.
Give it time. We've got big plans for MPO.
It's a couple of years down the road.
Not fucking around with that one. So amazing. So guys, we will be back. I assume next week with the regular show.
Yes.
So that's just sort of the normal format. And all the rest of it. Can we do an MPO in Germany? I don't want to fly all the way to UK. I know. Maybe we should just do it online, mate. It's just easier for everyone. All this traveling, expensive hotels.
Stockholm.
It's too much.
Stockholm.
Let's go on tour. Let's go Tokyo. Fuck it.
Tokyo, that'd be good, man. I'd love to go and do a modelling show over there.
Right.
See the difference, right?
Yeah.
Precision.
Yeah. Really. Will our paints be at MPO? Not to buy, but I'm pretty sure you'll have seen them by then. You'll probably be there to have a play around with if you want to. David asked whether our paints will be there. But yeah.
Tour of Exmoor and Dartmoor Parks. I ain't going near Exmoor.
It's nice down there. What are you on about?
Man doesn't go outside. Come on.
No, it's got nature and shit.
Not in May. Definitely not in May.
Not ever.
It'd be game over. Right.
No
anyway,
enough
waffle. Chat. You're amazing. If you're watching this back, like, subscribe, tell all your mates, all the rest of it. It makes a big difference to us. Thanks as ever for all your support. Thanks, chaps. Thanks, chat. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Bye.